And a good Saturday morning to you. We are just in time. It is 6 minutes after the hour. The boys are back in town, as they say. I think that's stealing a line from Thin Lizzy or Brownsville Station. Thin Lizzy, the boys are back in town from the 70s, John. We are back with you, your garden buddies. I'm Brian Main, John Begnasco, Tiger Palafox. We are warmed up and ready to go, straight from the green room, as they say. Hope you had a good week. We were off last weekend. John was up in Los Angeles on Saturday. How did that go?
It was fun. I thought you were going to show up.
We were this close, maybe this close, and I'm using my fingers here, less than an inch away. We were going to go to Lake Arrowhead. We were going to go up to Los Angeles and make that part of our day. So you know what we did instead? Went shopping. Because the day got away from us.
Like grocery shopping or like good fun shopping?
No, the day got away from us.
You can't say, if you're going grocery shopping, you can't say I went shopping because that's like a necessity.
Groceries were part of the shopping experience. But let's hear about your experience.
Well, I saw something I've never seen before.
Well, hold on. The last time that happened, you went to jail.
I was at the LA Arboretum, right?
Yes.
And something I've never seen before. Can you guess what it was?
Is it a type of plant or flower?
No. It's a type of bird.
A type of, like a wild bird?
Nope.
Oh, a caged bird.
Nope.
A painting.
Nope. It's a peacock. But it was completely destroyed. Like a coyote or something had gotten in there. And
what a sad story.
Feathers all over.
Prepare us for that.
Oh, I had never seen that.
Well,
and
I
guess maybe they
this.
get, there's a lot of peacocs up at the LA Arboretum.
Okay, so you're talking about on the grounds?
Oh, yeah.
You saw this
right outside the Ayers Hall where I was up there for the Pacific Rose Society's auction. So it was surprising to see. I didn't think anything went after peacocks.
Well, and they just left it there. Nobody
Well, there was
cleaned up
nothing
the mess?
there but a bunch. There was someone from the Arboretum was sitting on a bench and telling you to put a mask on. And I noticed she was holding like 3 or 4 feathers. But I don't think she did it.
Did she?
I don't think she did it.
So my daughter is really into dragons and dinosaurs.
Oh, yeah. Who isn't? Give me a good dragon any day of the week.
She has this shirt, and it's these 2 dinosaurs sitting, like cartoon ones on the front of the shirt. And one is saying to the other dinosaur, Frank, you really didn't eat the last unicorn, did you? And he's got like unicorn blood kind of hanging out of his mouth. He's like, no. And that's what that reminds me.
I get another dinosaur joke, which was a 1-panel cartoon. Shows these dinosaurs on the shore looking out, and Noah's Ark is drifting by,
away.
And one dinosaur looks at the other and says, "Oh crap, was that today?" Same kind of thing.
That's a good one.
So aside from that sad peacock story, how was the experience?
I think I got 15, somewhere between 15 and 20 roses.
Wow. For you, that's a big number because that means there's 15 or 20 roses you didn't have.
I did not have.
Yeah.
Did I notice some fancy camera work when we went on the air?
Yes.
Okay. For those watching now, I think we've settled down now. Tiger in charge of our video.
Trying to make everybody dizzy.
And make everybody happy and get some good shots there. So welcome back to the show. I know we were off last weekend. I hope you had a good weekend last weekend. And hopefully this weekend's going to be even better because you're starting off with your garden buddies. Tiger Palafox, John Begnasco, Brian Main, welcome. A lot of people on Facebook, John.
Yeah, good morning to everybody that's wishing us. So many people, we can't wish each one individually good morning, but in total, good morning.
So Dana says, John, did you call animal control?
No,
because there was nothing really to call about. It was just a bunch of feathers, right?
There was nothing to control anymore, right?
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. I think the Arboretum must have, it's either wild dogs or coyotes, right?
It's amazing how much wildlife is still in some of those LA areas, right?
I remember when Rick from Idaho used to live in Monrovia. If I'm trying to think, it was either a bear or a mountain lion. I think he sent us a picture of one time walking down the street. And if that's Monrovia, I mean, could be, the Pasadena's not that far away, right?
No, not exactly. Yeah. No, we've encroached, tremendously on a lot of this wildlife, as Tiger mentions. And you never know. You're walking down the street and out pops a mountain lion.
Yeah, we have a question, an important question from one of our faithful listeners, our
From
good buddy Jimmy.
Yeah, Jimmy, I saw that. Go ahead.
Yeah, and he says, Tiger, when are you going to have Milorganite back in stock?
I was actually just looking at that right now, and you know what? I will have them order it this week, and we should have it in stock by either late this week or next week, late next week, or the beginning of the week after.
And how about, do you guys carry HB 101 in stock?
Yes, we do. We have that in stock.
Would you bring me a bottle next
Okay.
week? I need it.
Yeah.
Not my plants. I need it.
I know we're taking order. I'm taking orders right now.
I'm gonna drink it. So look at that. Got a good Facebook crew lined up here. Those on Biz Talk Radio, thank you for tuning in each and every week. Of course, this show is last week's show, so it gives you a week to catch up.
It's been hot.
Yeah, you want to get to that?
Oh,
For those that don't live in San Diego, we were in the 80s this past week.
80s near 90.
And when we came into work this morning,
And really, in single-digit humidity.
yeah, very
It's
dry.
been really dry.
Not a cloud in the sky this morning coming in. Going to be another beautiful day.
Crazy.
This is
not a cloud.
And then
supposedly through Monday, and then the temperatures go back to normal.
Right. And a bit of rain in the forecast as
Right.
well, right?
And by the way, people in the Southern California area, don't go out and start planting beans and squash or putting in pepper
Oh,
plants.
because you think the weather's so good now that
Yeah.
no, it's
It's-
February.
Yeah, it's going to get cold again.
That happens though. People get, and even some of the plant material
Yeah.
get fooled. Oh,
Yeah.
the sun's up now. It's time for us to start.
Yeah.
We're back down to 50.
So
All the roses are leafing out. And remember, I brought the budded maiden in of the green planet that you gave me.
Yes.
Those are the plant that I have now has leaves on it. So we had that dormant bud that hadn't come out yet, and now full leaves. And from those budded maidens, not the green planet, but I have two plants that have flower buds on them.
Wow.
From that little tiny bud. So good time for roses. But if you're planting roses that are bare root, do you still carry bare root, or is it just
No.
potted roses?
we just do potted roses. Yeah.
Because it takes, once you plant a rose, it takes about, I would say, about 7 to 10 days for the root hairs to come out on the root system so the plant's able to take up water. And when you have really hot weather and those root hairs aren't there and the plant can't take up water, that's, you get desiccated stems, and the rose could actually die in that one period. So this particular kind of weather that we're having now makes it almost impossible to transplant a rose without covering the stem somehow. Now you can easily do it by just putting mulch for a week up around the plant, and then at the end of the at the end of the week, just pull it away and it'll be fine. Once the root hairs are out, it can take up water. Or if the temperature's normal, if we're having rainy weather, there's no problem at all.
There you go. How about that?
Normal temperatures would be nice, but
Yeah.
we'll also take this, I guess.
Yeah, it's
It'll
just,
be normal
it's-
next
it's
week.
the fluctuation.
Yeah.
You get a week of summer weather. Next week, it's back to winter weather.
It's so funny too because here in San Diego, people are also going to the beach right now because the weather is beautiful, and
Right,
even along the beach, it's beautiful. But then the water is still freezing.
Freezing. Yeah, the water reminds you what month it is.
Yeah. Oh.
So Rick from
Yeah.
Idaho says, yes, he says he saw more wildlife close up in Monrovia than he did in Oregon or Idaho.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a lot of mountain lions and stuff in East LA as you
Yeah,
get into
there's-
the
There's a lot of
inland
stuff out
areas.
there. It's really neat. It's really neat that in such an urban area they still do have that.
Now, I lived in Alpine back in the mid-'90s,
Yeah.
which for those of you that aren't familiar with California, that's inland.
San Diego.
And there are coyotes everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of wildlife.
Yeah, mountain lions and bobcats
Yeah.
are very high numbers up in Alpine as well.
And that's maybe 40 miles east of us,
Yeah.
if that.
Yeah, and they get snow maybe once every
Right.
12, 15 years. And yeah.
I was surprised how big bobcats are.
Yeah, right?
Right.
Yeah. You think of a bobcat as being like a big cat, but
No,
It is
they're-
a big.
it's big, yeah.
Hey, we got about just over a minute. Let's get the quote of the week. We'll talk about our upcoming guest, take our first break in about a minute or so. But, John, the quote of the week from, was it Miss Childs this week with a quote?
Julia Child, right?
Yes.
Not Childs.
I said
singular.
Childs, didn't I? I made her plural.
You did. And her quote was,
tall drink of water, this woman.
Valentine's is Monday, right?
Yeah.
Yep. So By the way, don't waste any money on me this year. I really don't need anything.
It's already coming.
All right.
I went on Amazon and ordered you something special.
All right. She said, I think that careful cooking is love, don't you? The loveliest thing you can cook for someone who's close to you is about as nice a Valentine as you can give.
It's very personal. Cooking for somebody is very personal.
Yeah.
So I do agree with that quote. The Tucson Backyard Garden Club is watching this morning. Kim, thank you for tuning in from Tucson.
Wow. Kim.
Okay, can you quickly give us a tease? Who's our guest coming up?
Yeah, we're going to be talking with Matt from High Country Roses. And, as John was talking about what we need to consider when it comes to roses during this time of year, Matt's coming from Colorado, and he's going to give us all the insight on what's new at High Country Roses and also what we need to consider when we have these weird, some areas are under severe cold watches, and then you got areas like us that are severe dry. So he's going to give us some great info about
Okay, we're going to take our first break, so do stay with us. Those on Biz Talk Radio, Facebook Live. We are back in the saddle. Brian Main, John Begnasco, Tiger Palafox. Welcome to Garden America. Going to get Matt on the phone. He's our guest. So those of you on Biz Talk Radio, you've got these messages coming up here on Garden America. Alrighty, those of you on Biz Talk Radio, Facebook Live, we have returned from our brief break. We do have Matt online. And again, as always, nothing has changed on Facebook. Questions, comments for one of us or Matt as we progress into the program, feel free right there on the Facebook page to interact. With that said, Tiger, we are ready to go. Let's bring on Matt Douglas.
Yeah, so Matt Douglas is joining us from High Country Roses this morning, where Matt and his wife Jennifer took over the business in 2011 and represents a third generation of family leadership for High Country Roses. How are you doing this morning, Matt? Thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm doing great. I'm sitting here in my bunny slippers looking for reasons not to shovel the snow that fell last night. So it's great timing to talk to you.
Oh, Matt, that's a shame. It's 85 degrees here today, Matt.
I know. It's funny how that works. Growing roses in Colorado. What a great decision.
Now, but there is a really neat story behind High Country Roses, Matt. Can you share that with our listeners?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So High Country Roses, we began as a nursery in 1970. It was my stepfather, Dr. William A. Campbell, who was a large figure in rose circles. He started the nursery solely because he had huge amounts of trouble growing roses in Colorado. He couldn't figure out why he couldn't grow roses like his grandmother and nice warmer areas of the country. And as a scientist and as a doctor, he just kind of put the scientific method to things and started digging in and finding out and discovering, in particular, old garden rose varieties that were very hardy and would grow successfully here in Colorado. And the nursery started as a great tax write-off, partially, but also as a great way for him to collect plants and establish a collection of things that did great, share them with his friends, and slowly over the years, it grew. We started as largely kind of a local nursery as a wholesale nursery to other retailers here in the Colorado area. Eventually growing into much more of a mail order business, and then right around 2000, this wonderful thing called the internet happened, and the business really took off from there. I ended up in the business because my mother was also kind of a large figure in rose circles. Her name was Linda Campbell. Ralph Moore named a rose after her. I always say I'm contractually obligated to buy or to sell that
Have
rose.
that one.
I think Ralph said, if I recall, that was the probably the best rose he ever created.
Well, I always think it's really funny because, obviously Ralph was kind of the king of miniature roses, and my mother was right there with him. She would be at the national conventions with her little button on that would say "Equal Rights for Minis," and then sure enough, we end up with this lovely but much bigger than mini hybrid rugosa. So. And the funny thing, I always thought the rose was like no big deal. Ralph would visit us from time to time, and he was just Ralph to me. And I was not in the business, but one day I was walking through a garden center here, and I finally realized that it was kind of a big deal when I saw 30 of them lined out in the back of this garden center, and finally I was like, oh, that's kind of a thing.
Well, it sounds like you guys are doing the right thing. I mean, if John was a smarter man, he would have taken a similar path, because I think that's where most rose collectors go wrong, right? You have this collection of roses, you have all these plants that everybody wants, and you have them, but you're just sitting on them, John, and just hoarding them. Where if you were smart, you would be growing them and selling them, and you can justify your passion there.
See, I don't think it's a matter of intelligence, Tiger. It's more a matter of age.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah, if I was 30 to 40 years younger, maybe I'd be Matt's competitor.
But
well, I've heard your collection is amazing. I don't travel to California very much, but when I do, I need to see you have about 1,500 roses, is that right?
Just a little over 1,400, but
okay,
be 1,500 by the end of this year, I'm sure. And
he's perusing the High Country website as we speak right now. So.
Right, I have bought roses from High Country and been pleased with everything I got. By the way, if you ever are in the area, Matt, you're more than welcome to take cuttings of anything.
Oh. Well, then I will bring a U-Haul truck and several staff and lots of buckets.
Yeah.
All you have to do is help John pull weeds.
And that's the big
that
thing.
Definitely seems fair.
Now,
it's nice that you say that. That's one of the big things we've really been working on in the past few years is getting into rose lovers, into their yards. In particular, a lot of Rose Society members. That are concerned about a lot of these older varieties that seem to kind of fade from commerce a little bit. And we had a great year. I think cuttings this year were posed in probably 2023 to reintroduce probably about 20 whole garden varieties that are certainly limitedly available, if not in some cases unavailable. So we joke a little, but honestly, what you're offering is really what this industry needs to kind of protect some of these older plants.
Yeah. I mean, that's I think definitely the reason why John does what he does. We are gonna have to take a break here in a minute, here, Matt. But John was saying the way one of the ways that he knows of you is you actually ordered some roses right from the auction.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
From the CCRS rose auction.
Right.
Yeah, and so and before you were talking about High Country Roses and why you guys are doing what you're doing in sense of being in Colorado where it maybe would be too cold for most roses, and you're finding varieties that do well there. I want to learn about why you picked some of the roses you picked for the auction, and then what are some of the roses that do better in your region. Because I'm sure people are interested, because I think people are in the same boat as you where they want to grow a rose, but maybe it's just not the ideal environment. So how much more time do we have, Brian?
Well, let's see. We're very close. Why don't we go ahead and take the break now?
Okay.
And then when we come back, repeat again what we're going to be doing with Matt. We're going to
we're going to be chatting with him about some
Okay.
of the specific roses that
Okay.
he finds do well in his region.
Okay, so that's what's coming up after this short break on Facebook Live, a bit longer on Biz Talk Radio. I want to thank Biz Talk Radio, the network, for carrying our show, and the many fine sponsors of Garden America. So as Tiger said, we're going to take a break back with Matt Douglas. We are talking roses this morning here on Garden America. Those on Facebook Live, feel free to post questions, comments as we continue. Tiger Palafox, John Begnasco, I'm Brian Main, taking a break back after these messages. Garden America on Biz Talk Radio and Facebook Live. We are back in action. I hope you enjoyed that break. Very quick break on Facebook Live. Those on Biz Talk Radio, thank you so much for being there. And hopefully your market carries both hours 1 and 2 of Garden America. Matt Douglas is our guest today, talking about one of our favorite topics, that is roses and other things. Tiger, as we're back and we continue.
Yeah, Matt's joining us from High Country Roses in Colorado. And before the break, Matt, I was mentioning that you know, one of the ways that we learned of you and High Country Roses is you were getting some roses from one of our local rose auctions here in California. And before that, even, you were talking about the reason why you guys got into the rose business there was it was difficult to find varieties that did well in your region. So I don't know if you want to give us a little bit of insight on maybe why you picked some of those roses from the auction, and then what are some varieties that you find do well in your specific region?
Yeah. So I was introduced to the auction actually by a customer who was like, "You got to check this out. There's some great varieties available." And I think that I was clued into it back when it was still a little bit of a live auction, and then I was thinking, how on earth am I going to get there, and all these things. So needless to say, it took a little bit of time for me to get back in, but this past year was checking out the list and was just really amazed at some of the great varieties that we didn't have in our collection. And I was not quite savvy as I'd like to be, but I'll be ready next year. I put some bids. It was a kid in a candy store. I was like, one of these. And unfortunately, didn't realize I needed to come back and double check my bids and things like that. So sadly, I only got a couple of plants this year, but we'll be back with a vengeance here next year for those of gonna need to get your wallets out. But,
John, did you want to get to Carlos'
but no,
question? Oh,
what we have found is so many of the old garden roses in particular are hardy to zone 5, zone 4 in some cases. Here in Denver, we're located outside of Denver, kind of up along the foothills, northwest of town, and we're a pretty solid zone 5, 5B. Maybe a borderline 6 in some of the warmer areas of town. And I, in my personal yard, I have a policy of no winter protection. So I am kind of as hands-off on my own garden as can be. And that really kind of clues me in well on things that will do well, things that we sell. Really, we try to establish a track record of how plants do. I have a network of customers, in colder areas, and I'll send them things, in particular newer additions and things like that, just to, if we're calling something a zone 4, I want to know that it's growing as a zone 4. Some roses, come out of the gate, and frankly, I just think that they haven't been tested quite as rigorously as they could be. We tend to go on the conservative side. So, we send roses all over the country. So, it used to be we were specific only to kind of the Mountain West in terms of varieties that we really kind of clued in on. Now I am growing, roses that frankly won't grow here. We do have some Zone 7 plants. We grow some stuff that, really just needs to be in your area or in other areas of the country. But we do focus and we do kind of base the collection on plants that do well here.
Okay. And,
A lot of people don't realize, you think of Colorado and you think of all the snow and it's going to be really cold, right? Because in order for there to be snow, it's got to be below freezing. But snow itself is actually good protection if you've got a good snow pack for protecting the roses.
Oh, that's absolutely the case. Yeah. I look ridiculous shoveling my walk here because I have two groups of two gardens kind of near the drive. And so I'll actually we'll shovel snow up the driveway and over to kind of pack them in a little bit as winter protection. So no, you're absolutely right. So snowpack is our greatest friend. We just kind of come out of a cycle we were -10 here last week, which is never good for anything. Nobody, humans, plants, whatever. But we've I kind of feel like we're past that sort of deep freeze, and now we're kind of into that section that a lot of areas of the country get, where you have just these dramatic freeze-thaw cycles. And frankly, I think that is more dangerous for the plants than the deep freeze. I think once things start, here we'll get, we won't get the deep cold, but we'll get 10 degrees, and then the next day it might be 65 or something, or it'll be 65 for a couple of days, and then it'll drop to 10. And you're right, without snowpack, that's a tough situation. So I think when I lose plants in my yard, it's really they make it through the deep of the winter, and then it's the spring, early spring is what kind of gets them.
And, since you ship plants all across the country now, have you seen any kind of trends shift since you're able to kind of track these sales now and, see where people are buying certain roses? And then also, like you say, you kind of cater to the roses that are a little bit hardier because of where you guys are and where you're selling roses to. Do you find people like yourself are kind of pushing the limits of these roses and finding, surprising success?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of what's popular, we do a lot of work with flower farmers. Just kind of our business is able to kind of handle some of their needs, and so I always feel like I get a good feel for what's going to be kind of hot with the general public a couple of years down the road, because the farmers tend to be pretty in tune with colors and trends and things like that. So I was way out ahead of the rush of the Rose Coco Loco.
Yeah. We've
been able to grow that one. Good grief! I mean, I'm not sure. There's going to be one of those in every yard in America here, I think, eventually. But yeah, and it's interesting because things do just trend so much with these releases. Right now, the Rose Princess Charlene de Monaco, it's so hot. I mean, we doubled our inventory on it from last year. And we kind of do an initial release of roses for spring right at the first of the year. And literally we had sold, I think, 400 plants by the second week of January.
Wow.
And so that's just a rose that everybody wants right now. And, it's a popular one for sure.
Hey,
John,
Matt,
do you want to get to a couple of questions or not?
Veronica in Spring Valley has a question for Matt, and it's this question is so easy, Matt. I'm almost embarrassed to ask you. And all she wants to know is your recommendation for a fragrant rose that'll do well in the shade.
Oh, fragrant and do well in the shade. Well, the thing about shade is it's always how much and what kind. So,
yeah. In general, roses like
comes
sun.
In major ways. We always say full sun for
Right.
For roses you want at least 5 to 6 hours of direct sunlight a day. Roses, that we label as shade tolerant probably will be happy with, maybe as little as 4 hours a day. You can certainly grow things in partial shade, and you may just not have quite, if we put a height range of 3 to 4 feet, you should probably expect it to be on the 3 side. But, I, for one, I have a lot of experience with this. Our previous home was just all shade. So, I know the frustrations of trying to grow stuff like that.
Right.
Some of the newer, really, really fragrant roses that I have been impressed with, I happen to really like Perfume Factory, which is a Weeks release from last year. It's a deep purple.
Mm-hmm.
The fragrance on that rose is as intense as any I have seen in the last few years. We got our cutting material. So they send us what they call whip.
Hey, Matt, sorry to interrupt. We're going to have to take a quick break. During the break, I'm going to post that link to that Princess Charlene de Monaco rose. When we get back, we'll continue talking with Matt from High Country Roses.
Yeah, Matt, keep that train of thought. Want to pick up where we leave off here as we do take a break on Biz Talk Radio, Facebook Live. Matt Douglas, we're talking about roses this weekend, today, right now on Garden America. Stay with us. All righty, we are back. It is Garden America. Thank you again for making us part of your weekend. And again, don't forget our YouTube channel, Garden America Radio. We post all of our shows on our YouTube channel. This show will be posted sometime early this afternoon, so be sure to go to our YouTube channel, Garden America Radio, like and subscribe. As we continue this morning talking to Matt Douglas, and we're talking about roses of every shape and kind. Tiger, we're just going to continue.
And smell.
And smell
right?
and fragrance. And,
yeah. So, Matt, you were kind of giving us some insight on some of one of our listeners was asking a question about a rose with a fragrance in the shade.
Right. Well, I believe we left him at the Perfume Factory.
Yeah.
Yeah. Perfume Factory. I was touting Perfume Factory. Yeah. So we got our cutting material from Weeks Roses. So essentially, what they send us are what they call whips. Which I mean, for if you're just thinking about it, it's like getting cut roses. So we have, blooms on about a, 18-inch stem. So we had about 300 of those all kind of tied up in this bundle. They opened the bundle. I was literally 25 feet away, and when they opened the bundle, I could smell the scent of this Rose Perfume Factory. And the color's great. It's another purple. They love their purples there at Weeks, and it's fantastically fragrant. Nice little plant, grows well, and I'm not sure it's going to be what I would call shade tolerant, but it certainly would be a good one to at least try.
There is an old garden rose that Veronica might consider if she can find it. I don't know if you carry it, Matt, but it's Zephyrin Drouin. And rose from France that is thornless, by the way, or pretty close to thornless, does have a good fragrance. And in Spring Valley, where Veronica lives, it will be shade tolerant because she gets a lot of heat.
Yeah.
And that might be one to consider.
Yeah, no, that'd be a great one. Yeah, Zephyrin is it's Bourbon Rose.
Right.
And you're absolutely right. Yeah, it's one of those that here is a little bit of it's kind of a borderline
for hardiness
plant. Yeah. So I grew that in my yard, and you're right. It was in about half day sun, and in Colorado, what we get is some years it's 10 feet high, and climbing up on my roof, and then some years it gets zapped back a little bit, and we grow it as more of a shrub. But yeah, that's got great scent, beautiful lipstick pink blooms, and just a really healthy rose.
Yeah. By the way, Veronica, Zephyrin is spelled Zephrine, if you want to look it up.
Hey, Matt. Earlier this week when you and I were talking, you we were talking about how we're dealing with these weird weather shifts. It's very cold up in the north right now and very hot and dry down in the south. And, I'm wondering, has your advice to people kind of changed at all in terms of maybe when you get these roses? For instance, I mean, you ship, roses across the country, and you're going to tell someone, I don't think you should get this rose right now because it's not going to be good for you at this moment in time. Have you seen where it's a little bit of a shift where people should change their thinking, or is it still pretty consistent and this is a little bit of an anomaly?
Yeah, I think in general, I always use last frost date as kind of the rule of thumb, kind of hard and fast. That said, we'll send something to anybody when they want it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they're putting it inside for a little while or whatever. As long as we can get it out the door safe, we're happy to do that. Obviously, the unpredictability of the climate is a real challenge in the nursery industry, to say the least. And especially when you're sending stuff out to all corners of the country. Right now, I mean, we were able to send some things out this week actually to some customers that it's time to go in Tucson and San Diego, and and we recognize that. And, we certainly try to help people as best we can. I always encourage people to just wait as long as you can, right? I think as close as you can get to that last frost date, is better for the health of the plant, better, in terms of just that plant taking root and taking charge, growing and establishing itself. But you know what? That said, I had somebody walk in the greenhouse just last week and wanted a rose while it was snowing outside. So,
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Everybody's got their own thing going on.
Yeah, but like you said, if they're gonna take it home and bring it inside, that's what they're gonna take the care of it. Now, what are you shipping people? Are you shipping bare root? What are you shipping people? What can people expect to get from High Country Roses?
So we're entirely own root roses. So everything is greenhouse grown. We decided long ago that we were going to go with kind of a quart size 5-inch pot, and we have really found that that's a great size. I totally get it that people like bigger plants, and there's definitely folks that send those out. Just from the sort of the overall picture, we've found that size is fantastic. I send every plant out of that greenhouse with the intention that it's going straight in the ground. So, it's definitely got adequate root development. We try to get plants upwards of about a foot tall when we send them out.
Wow.
It's a challenge. They're plants. So,
yeah.
But obviously when you're sending plants that age, it's important. We guarantee everything for a full year, so if anything does go wrong, we've just kind of taken the stance that we'll make it right, and so we do replace a lot of plants, but I do think that's important. My business mantra is happy people growing roses are much better than unhappy people not growing roses.
Exactly. Hey, Matt, we are going to have to take another break right now. When we get back, I want to see if you can provide our listeners with a few roses that you think. I mean, you mentioned a few roses earlier, but a few specific varieties that you think the upcoming year people need to consider for their garden.
All righty, and those on Biz Talk Radio, you've got news coming up top of the hour as we approach that top of the hour. We come back at 6 minutes after. Hopefully, your market carries us, hour 2 here on Garden America. The rest of us on Facebook Live, we're going to continue back with Matt Douglas, so do stay with us. We're talking roses today, right now, this weekend here on Garden America. All righty, we are back, and hopefully on Biz Talk Radio, you've got Hour 1 and now Hour 2. If you're just joining us on Biz Talk Radio for Hour 2, we're talking about roses today. Our guest is Matt Douglas, and we continue on Biz Talk Radio and Facebook Live. So thank you for making Garden America part of your weekend, Tiger, as we continue.
And before the break, Matt, I had mentioned we wanted to send off our listeners with a few varieties they might want to consider for introducing into their yard. And during the interview, you've already mentioned a few. You know, we hit the note on Perfume Factory. You mentioned Coco Loco, which was one of the hot roses for the past few years. And I want to make sure our listeners know that the Coco Loco is actually spelled Kokolo.
The only bad thing about that rose is the name. It's a stupid name, but it's a fantastic rose.
Whoa, John.
Hey, I also wanted
Christian's going to be very upset you said that.
Also wanted to mention with Valentine's coming up, why buy your Valentine a
Cut
dozen
flower.
roses that are going to be dead in a week?
Have you seen the price of roses this week?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
you for even less you can get 1 or 2 rose bushes that every time they
Right.
go out they'll remember you.
Exactly.
That's so true.
And
yeah,
then,
grow a bouquet.
And then
I always
Matt,
joke that that cut roses don't work for my wife, unfortunately, in this business. But we'll plant a few more for her.
yeah. And you also mentioned you kind of felt the hot rose this year was going to be the Princess Charlene de Monaco, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
so
yeah,
what are some
it
other
just
varieties?
Took off out of the gate. Yeah, kind of. It's the flavor of the month, if you will. But it's been it's a nice plant for sure. I haven't grown it in my yard, so I don't have a lot of great experience with it. But certainly people love the color and sort of love the habit of the plant.
Can you give us a few more specific varieties that you think people might want to consider this year if they're looking for a rose or as a Valentine's
absolutely.
gift?
The one that I've been pretty excited about is it's a Milan release, Enchanted Peace. And I always put my radar up whenever anything's named something Peace, just because I feel like they're trying to play off the name of the peace rose. But in this particular case, we've seen just really interesting plant, beautiful bloom. It's got a really interesting kind of wide habit. So it was described to me once as kind of getting a little heavy, spreading a bit, but not like suckering, but just kind of growing wide. It's a good-looking plant. Seems to be pretty disease-resistant, and it's just a gorgeous bloom. And as the original peace rose is not always fantastic on its own roots, this is a great one to look at because it is great on its own roots, and we've been excited about that one. And let's see, there's a Cortez introduction. I don't know if y'all guys are familiar with the Veranda series of roses, but boy, have we just seen great growth in this particular grouping of plants. They introduced this year Fiesta Veranda, which is a nice yellow and orange kind of blended rose. But the Veranda rose has been a little bit smaller shrub, kind of ideal for tucking in the landscape, putting in pots. Makes a nice patio rose, and they just crank through the blooms. So Fiesta Veranda in particular, but that whole group is great. And then I personally, going back to my roots as a miniature rose lover, I'm excited. We've been working with Robert Ripito, who's from you guys' neck of the woods. I think he's in Palm Springs.
Right, he's out in the desert.
Yeah. So he, I think the rose he's mostly known for is the Rose Miracle on the Hudson. But he's done a bunch of mini roses and didn't really have much of an outlet to get them out without tons and tons of effort. And he sent me a bunch, and we tested them. And needless to say, I've liked what I've seen. They're kind of more they aren't like show miniatures, but they're more of just great garden plants. And so we're introducing 2 of them this year. One being Orchid Kisses, and the other being just a beautiful little tiny mini called Kalindo. And so I'm really excited about both of those. I feel like miniature roses have kind of gone by the wayside a little bit, and frankly, I think that's not a great thing. I think they're such great little plants.
There are so few nurseries that you can get miniature. There used to be a lot of mail order miniature nurseries. You know, there was Northeast, there was Sequoia Nursery, Ralph Moore's Nursery, and Two Sisters, a lot of miniature rose growers, and they're all gone out of business. So I think that's a good business decision to go in that direction.
Well, the family obligations too. You gotta. I have a yard. I just put a garden in here at my house last year with I crammed 50 of them in there. So we definitely like them.
Hey, Carla from Huntington Beach wants to know if you have an email newsletter.
I do. That's so nice of her. So so I for years and years and years have threatened to do it, and we actually have started actual publication of the newsletter this year. So you can sign up for that on the homepage of our website, which is highcountryroses.com. I'm calling it, I think, the High Country Rose Report. I have committed myself to writing it quarterly, and I've managed to get one out. So we're rolling with that. We're definitely trying to bring a little bit more in terms of gardening advice that way, and just kind of talking about some of the things we're reading and doing, and general rosiness.
And
so and you get 20% off.
I was going to say, and if you sign up
when you sign up
for the newsletter, you get 28% off your first order. And I also was going to mention the highcountryroses.com website. You have wonderful resources for how to grow rose, different things about what an own root rose is, and some great information. So again, highcountryroses.com. Matt, thank you for joining us this morning. Lots of great info, lots of good insight on some new varieties of roses or different varieties of roses, and different rose care. So thank you very much for joining us this weekend, and we hope all the best.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. Thank you. I've been binge listening your show, and I just have loved it. So I've got a new one in my rotation, and thanks so much for having us.
Yeah, well, we'll have you on again soon. Thank you very much, and have a great weekend.
Thank you, Matt. There he goes. And, boy, you wind him up and he goes.
Yeah,
he's got a lot
great
to say and a lot of good information. That's the kind of guest you want. You don't have to prod them with a lot of questions. They just, you ask them a question or two and they just go.
I wonder what a greenhouse in Colorado is like when you got snow and cold outside. I mean, because you don't have to keep it real warm, right, John? For those roses that he's growing in the 5-inch pots?
No.
What do you think he has to...
really, all you need to do is keep it from freezing.
Freezing, right?
Right.
So it's not like he's like heating it.
Well,
it's more protection.
It depends how big his greenhouse is, because he does need areas for propagation.
Oh, yeah.
So those have to be kept warmer.
Yeah.
And
you think he's propagating year-round? Like, you think he is trying to propagate even this time of year?
Well, yeah, because he's getting ready for spring, right?
Oh, yeah.
So he probably, it depends what his business model is. But
yeah, because I was going to, I mean, I didn't know if you could propagate, I guess, year-round if you just keep the temperatures the way you want it.
Wouldn't he almost have to, though, with his inventory and
just constantly on
and how much he's turning out and selling?
Yeah, true.
Yeah, I was surprised at the number of some of those varieties he was talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. He sends out nice roses. They're, like he said, they're what, 4-inch pots or
like
5-inch pots?
Quart, he said.
Yeah.
That's like a 5-inch, I think.
Yeah. I usually recommend that rather than taking that size rose and putting it directly in the ground, if you put it into a larger pot and keep it for a season and then put it in the ground.
Okay, we're gonna take a break.
All right.
So whatever you're thinking about, hold that
Yes.
thought. Can you hold it?
I can.
You're good?
I can.
Okay,
I'll
brain
do it.
is working. Okay, hey, those of you watching us on Facebook Live, any questions, comments, now is a great time. You want to continue to talk about roses, we'll do that. Or anything else. Next month is March, spring, not too far away. Let's start thinking about that. In the meantime, it is break time on Biz Talk Radio, Facebook Live. A bit longer break on Biz Talk Radio, Facebook Live back after this, and more messages for you on Biz Talk Radio from your friends here on Garden America. Okay, we are back live on the air. The mics are hot, as we say in the business. Those on Biz Talk Radio, thank you for tuning in each and every weekend. And those on Facebook Live, we've got a very dedicated audience. We appreciate it being right there as we do our best to give you eye contact in the camera and make it an even more warmer experience.
Yeah,
Intimate experience, Tiger.
Intimate. Before the break, John was talking about how he recommends sometimes planting those mail order quart size roses into a pot before they go directly in the ground.
Right.
And you even sometimes just put them into a gallon, which is just like
Right.
one size up from
Right.
a quart, right?
Yeah, and usually when the gallon is full and the roots fill that pot, you can go directly into the ground. Carla from Huntington Beach earlier, we were talking about bare root roses and during the heat how long it takes before they can take up water. She wanted to know if I was saying not to transplant roses in pots. As long as you're going from one pot to another, that's not a problem. It's only when you have a bare root rose that doesn't have any feeder roots on it.
So it has to be established then.
Yeah, if you just go from
Right.
one pot and move it into a larger pot, that's not a problem this time of year.
So there you go, Carla. That was a question
Yeah.
from early last hour.
By the way, I wanted to let you know, Brian, that the California Coastal Rose Society is coming over to my house today to prune roses
And pull weeds.
right after the show. Well, pull weeds out of the roses, and you're welcome to come and help.
You know what? I swung by your
Ooh.
place. No, I swung by your place, when was it? A couple of weeks ago. Nobody was home. I was impressed by the security. There was a guy at the gate, though. I didn't know you had a full-time 24-hour security guard there.
The dogs didn't bother you, did they?
No. They said, who are you? What can I do? And I told them, well, the Bagnescos are not home right now. And I thought that was interesting because I knew you were home, but I understand the security, and I understand that, he doesn't know me from anybody.
There's a difference between just being home and not being wanted or not wanting to be bothered.
And the cameras, I know you were watching me.
Yeah.
You saw me.
Yeah.
But anyway, he's a nice guy. Laszlo, your security guard, he's a nice guy.
You
So,
call him Laszlo. I just call him Fredo.
So Carla gives a big thumbs up. Very good. What's on your mind? Hey, what is Tiger doing? Are you noticing? Do we have a shot of what Tiger's doing?
I was trying to make sure I was doing it correctly
Before we went on
talked
and
about
talked
it,
about it.
kind of a thing. But what I was doing, so I asked John 2 weeks ago was the last time I saw him. I was like, hey, I need to start putting names on these plants. Because
You said you were forgetting names,
I was
right?
forgetting names.
We all
and,
do.
I was starting to get this collection of
At
plants.
his age, I never forgot anything.
Thanks. And so I had said, hey, what do you use for your signage for, your plants? And he recommended this thermal printer with this specific tape and then this signage that we use. So I got one. I went online and I purchased all of the things that I needed.
For Mission Hills Nursery.
Yeah. So I wanted to bring it in today because I think this is something that most maybe gardeners are going to want, just because, again, I think that we all put plants out there into the garden. We don't remember what they
You
are.
think you're going to remember.
You
And even
do.
if you do a tag, what did we say the absolute worst way to label a plant was?
Sharpie.
Right.
The worst. And it completely disappears, like we were
Right.
talking about. Like, it's not even like it fades and you can be like, oh, I got to rewrite that. You can go out there and the Sharpie tag is just gone. And so it's 100% erased.
You want something a little more permanent.
Yes. Yeah. So, John, do you remember? I'm trying to hold on. It's a Brother P-Touch little tape printer.
It looks like a modem. I'm sorry. That
Yeah,
looks
and
like a
I'll
modem.
hold it up to the camera in a minute. But I printed out a quick tag. You can just hook it up to your computer. You can even do it wirelessly. And I got you a Green Planet
Look at you.
little tag for your
How
rose.
nice.
And then
Even though that's one I will never forget.
right, yeah, it is one you will never forget. And then I got these little like fancy looking copper kind of tape stake.
Yeah,
Stakes.
now see, that looks official. That's like if you're going through like, public gardens and they have those little things set up.
Right.
And so people aren't going to bug you. If I set that up where, where I live, people are going to think, oh, this is official. Stay away 3 feet.
You can make a little sign that says it.
Just look
Stay
at
away.
it. Don't touch it. Just look.
But the best part about these labels is that they they have UV coating on them.
They won't fade.
They will never fade.
How about that?
I
Somebody
mean,
was thinking.
we were talking before the show about how I have tags that are 15 years old, and 10 of those years were spent out in the desert sun.
And they still look good.
They're still perfect.
So there you go.
Look at that. What a great gift.
Yeah. So you can put that right into your rose, and it'll just stay.
Now, I had more information to mine. I'll put the type of rose it is, like HT for hybrid
Yeah.
tea, POL for polyantha. I usually put the breeder. I put the color.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
that's
you really
information
can.
I need to
This is
know.
great.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
is great.
Yeah, you really can put more information on it. Like for instance, my little hobby is, when I was in Hawaii this past week, I was there for a friend's wedding,
Mhm.
and we were at a resort and where we had the kind of like, what do you call it, like a happy hour reception area. There were some plumerias, so I just
Borrowed a cutting.
borrowed a couple cuttings
Right,
from
of
the wedding area, and I'm going to grow out that plumeria, and then I will ship one of those when it's rooted and doing well. I'll ship it back to my friends that got married, maybe as like an anniversary gift or something. So on that tag, I wrote kind of a description of the flower,
Uh-huh.
because plumerias are tough. I mean, just to look at the flower, you're not going to always know the
Right.
name.
Right.
Unless it's distinctive.
Yeah.
You can
But-
probably guess Lord Byron.
Yeah, exactly. That one's not hard to pick. But I did a description of the flower, and I just wrote, whoever's wedding it was at, and that's what's on the tag, so I know exactly which
Right.
plumeria that is.
And sometimes you might want to, you can do 2 lines on there, right?
Yes.
So you could put the common name on top, and you could put the scientific name
Scientific
below.
right on the, yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
and which will be smaller anyway because people
Yeah.
mostly go by the lay term or the lay name of the plant.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I thought that this was a fun little contraption. I'm gonna unplug it now. I'm gonna show it to the camera because
It's
for
like a
people to
little
see.
toy. It's a newbie.
Carla in Huntington Beach says she got one for Christmas.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do this real quick.
Now,
I'm
did
gonna-
you order it direct from Brother? Did you get it off Amazon?
I did it. I ordered on Amazon.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, just because you were able to order the tape, the tag,
The whole thing.
and the printer all right then and there.
And the tape is important because they do have different types of tape, but the one that you need is the one that's going to be UV resistant.
And those on Biz Talk Radio, Tiger is showing the printer to the camera. So again, another reason why, if you want to watch our show live on Biz Talk Radio or from Biz Talk Radio to Facebook Live, just go to our Facebook page, Garden America Radio, Garden America Radio Show, and you can watch us live each and every Saturday morning, 8:06 Pacific, 11:06 Eastern Time Zone.
Hey, Tiger, John wants to know if you can post a link
Yeah,
to that label maker
do that.
you
Yeah,
got.
no problem.
yeah. And I think that there's even a way, and I wasn't able to do this, but it's also wireless, where I think that even you can download the app from your phone.
You should be
and
able to
print
print from your phone.
from the phone.
That's what I do at
via
home.
the
I
app
print
too.
on my printer from my phone at home. We got to take a break. You got to keep stay on time for the network. So those on Biz Talk Radio, Facebook Live, Garden America, of course, that's what you're watching, listening to. We're going to take a break. We have 2 more segments coming up. Questions, comments, post them right there on our Facebook page here with your buddies, Brian, Tiger, John on Garden America. We have returned from our very short break on Facebook Live, a bit longer on Biz Talk Radio. So those on Biz Talk Radio, thank you for tuning in and supporting our advertisers, and thanking the crew, Stephanie and everybody at the network for keeping us sharp, live, and on the air, or in many cases, pre-recorded on the air for that matter, live on Facebook.
Yeah, Veronica also wants to know the name of that printer, and it is a Brother printer, and Tiger's getting ready to post a link to that.
Yeah.
And also for our friends at the Tucson Garden Club, if you want something that's going to hold up to the Tucson
Right?
sun, this is the type of label maker to use.
And we do have a handful of people inquiring about this printer.
And
We've
you know,
touched a nerve, Tiger.
I will also post a link because, as John mentioned, the tape that it prints on
Right.
is a specific tape. It's not just any normal printer
To be
tape.
compatible with the entire system.
Well, not just to be
No.
compatible, but just to be able to last
It
outside.
has to be weatherproof.
Yes,
Yeah.
well, it has to have that UV coating that you talked about.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Well, it's got to be compatible with the
post-
sun, John.
I'll post that too.
It's got to be compatible with
but-
something.
Yeah.
But I just
Don't-
was so impressed with how it's easy, and it's
It's
really
easy.
simple. It's a kind of a single size tape, so it doesn't get
Yeah.
real elaborate with labels and things like that. But I mean, it has a lot of options, which is really neat as far as little designs, and like you said, you can put
Yeah.
different
I put
different
a border
text.
around mine when I.
Yeah.
When you feel creative, like the newsletter.
It's just the different line borders look like little frames around what you've written.
Okay, now those on Facebook Live, you should be able to see the link and a picture.
That's the printer, and then
Yeah.
I think Tiger's going to post the tape too.
Yep.
So there you go. You'll never forget a plant name again.
No, Green Planet. I've etched in my memory.
Yeah, I have 1,400 I have to remember.
Hey,
and
how-
I'm starting to forget
How
some.
long should that Green Planet live?
Till you kill it.
No, I don't want to kill it.
Well,
It's going
then
on.
indefinitely.
Yeah, really.
I don't know about as long.
18 years, John. 18 years.
Well, and it has 2 offspring now, right? At my house.
Yes, we've kept it alive. It's like a bunch of scientists in a lab going in trying to bring back the woolly mammoth. Bring back something extinct. Except we're
Yeah.
not using DNA.
We talked about before about jellyfish and how some people think that they live forever.
They don't live
Jellyfish
forever.
Some jellyfish, they think,
Just keep on going.
yeah.
Turtles are a close second.
Well, there's some turtles that are like 180 years old.
180, 200 years old. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know about 200, but pretty
yeah.
close.
Oh no, 200.
But the oldest rose I think we talked about before is next to a church in Germany, and I think it was planted in the 14 or 1500s. That's the oldest living one that's known.
Wow.
So that's a long time. And I think the church was bombed during World War I or II,
And they survived.
and the rose, was somewhat destroyed, but came back up after that and is now up the side of the wall.
Yeah, we've
again.
always talked about how tenacious roses are. Really, you don't really need to cut them back.
Especially a rose that was bred by Sam McGrady, a yellow and pink striped rose, which is called tenacious, Brian.
Okay, so did you answer your daughter's question?
My daughter's question.
Yeah, I thought Gina had a question.
Oh. What's the best place to get heirloom vegetable seeds?
That was the question.
Baker Creek.
Exactly.
Baker Creek Nursery
Yeah, Baker Creek seeds.
seeds.
Yeah.
They have
They've-
such a cool variety.
Yeah, they've got the best variety probably in the world.
I agree.
Yeah, go to Baker Creek.
And then you've got a question, John. Best treatment for black spot and best fertilizer. It's a rose question, obviously, for roses.
Who's that from?
John and Bonnie.
I bet.
Okay, if you're in California, don't spray for black spot. Would be my recommendation. It's not worth it. There's certain roses that are black spot prone, and most of those are called, they used to be referred to as California roses. Those were roses that would get black spot anywhere in the country, but in California, they weren't, since we don't really get heavy black spot pressure, it's really nothing to worry about. You'll get some in the spring when the weather is right, like it is this time of year, but they quickly grow out of it, and as you go into the summer, it'll be gone. So
Not a big deal. Don't worry about it.
I wouldn't spray. And then, was there another question to that?
Veronica wrote, I have a canna stand along my house.
Oh, I think we talked
Did
about
we talk that one? Sorry,
Yeah,
I
she was the one
busy
that,
with the printer.
yeah, she wanted the rose for the shade.
Oh, yeah,
so
yeah.
She was,
Well, the follow-up to that, John, was best fertilizer. What would you recommend for a rose?
John uses Osmocote.
well, for
on
roses
everything.
in containers.
Yeah.
Yes.
If it's in the ground, I just bought a 50-pound bag of citrus or an organic citrus food
Yeah.
that I put around the roses I have in the ground. But it doesn't make any difference. You know, we've said many times that roses,
They can't read the label.
plants can't read, period.
No.
So they don't know what the label said. Just give them a good balanced fertilizer.
You know,
Definitely use something organic because you're increasing the fertility of the soil and it'll last longer.
Yeah.
they have Peggy Martin in the ground.
The rose?
Getting back to this black spot and fertilizer question.
I have a Peggy Martin in the ground.
Do you get black spot on your Peggy
No.
Martin?
But I'd also ignore the heck out of that rose. And it thrives.
You really, that has
I
been
should
like a
take
highlight in your life.
I should take a
that
picture
rose.
of it again and give everybody an update on how that rose is doing for me. I mean, obviously it's not great right now because it's February,
Right.
but it actually, I was just down there this week and it looks
You know what
good
I
in
would
my
do?
eye.
I would
Did
buy
you prune
two.
it at all, or are you
Nope.
going to just let it go?
No, I'm just going to let it grow.
I would buy two of those. Put one in the ground, take care of it. The other one, I would drench it underwater in salt water and test that theory to see how well it does.
Just see if you can kill it.
Couple, 2 or 3 days, then bring it out. Okay, come on. You're going to grow now? Let's see what you can do.
Oh, that's funny.
You've been underwater now for a few days.
Yeah.
I've gone through many Peggy Martin roses, and I keep giving them away. I
Yeah.
think the last one I had that was going to go on the ground, I
you
gave to
me.
you because
Yeah.
it was for a friend, right?
For a friend that was in New Orleans. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I love it. But yeah, you were like, I'll just get myself a new one. I was like, all right.
Yeah. There's going to be one in the auction again. By the way, we were talking about roses today, and the auction that we normally have that is every November. 22 years, this will be the 22nd annual rose auction, but instead of November, we're moving it up to the end of April.
What?
Yes, so it'll be the end of April. I think it's like April 30th or May 1st, whatever that Sunday is. So right around there, it's going to be in,
Kind of between spring and summer. It's a springtime kind of an auction, isn't it?
yeah, it's a
April,
long
May.
ways from summer.
God, Joe, I always consider.
We're in
You're
San
talking
Diego.
about April, May. I consider summer June.
Yeah, I was going to say, we're in San Diego.
Yeah,
Summer starts in April.
Actually,
summer was
this
last
week.
week, right?
It's
Yeah.
this week, exactly.
But anyway, the reason we're doing that is because we have so many people bidding from out of state now in cold areas of the country.
Oh, they want to get their roses in the ground.
And so I
Sure.
always offer to hold them over, but you know, right now I've got 50 roses that need to be
Still,
shipped,
Yeah.
and I'm getting too old to hold
You know,
those.
that makes a lot of sense to have it in the warm weather months.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So anyway, we're going to hold it in conjunction with the San Diego Rose Society's Rose Show. So you'll be able to go to the Rose Show.
We did that a couple of years ago.
That was
No,
at the
that was the
at the-
national.
that was the
Okay.
national convention, right?
Okay, yeah.
So it'll be
yeah.
something similar.
Yeah, sure.
Now,
So
the Rose Show is
I think it's going to be in El Cajon
okay.
this year.
Because I was going to say, don't they usually kind of move it, the San Diego one? I feel like they've done it at
they
Walters
used-
and Poway or something. Was that not that one?
No, that's was Walter Anderson's
Oh, okay.
own show. It used to be at Balboa Park,
Ah,
and I think it's been at different venues. But right now, the one they're using is out in El Cajon.
nice.
So,
All right.
so that'll be nice. We'll keep people posted. Brian,
Sure.
I'm sure you'll be there, right?
Well, we're going to do it this year, right?
Yeah.
We're finally being let out of the cage.
Oh, yeah, enough of these virtual auctions. We'll have
We
a
need to-
real
I need to
auction.
smell it.
We've tested the
I need to
technology.
touch the flower.
That's a great. You know what? That's a great bumper sticker or T-shirt. I need to smell it. That's it. Hey, speaking of that, we're going to take a break.
All right.
One more segment coming up. So questions, comments, we've got a couple up there we can get to when we come back here on BizTalk Radio, Facebook Live. So again, Garden America, one more segment coming up. Ryan Main, John Begnasker, Tiger Palafox. Do stay with us. And as I said, we're going to take a break a bit longer on BizTalk Radio. Much quicker here on Facebook Live. Stay with us. Okay, this is it. We are down to our final segment. Good show today. We had Matt Douglas on. The theme has pretty much been roses all show long. So thank you for taking part. Thank you for tuning in, whether it's Biz Talk Radio, listening to this pre-recorded show. Do want to remind you, go to our website, gardenamerica.com, cruise around, all new feel, all new look. And, of course, really urging you to support our YouTube channel, Garden America Radio Show. Go to our YouTube channel, like and subscribe, and then share the videos with your friends and your family, and then they can like and subscribe so we can build up our subscription and the people who actually tune in. This show today will be up around, I'm going to guess, 1, 2 o'clock Pacific time. Usually it is.
Next week, we're planning on doing a remote, right? From the nursery.
You know what? We talked about it. Is that etched in stone?
I'm planning on it.
So we should meet at the nursery next week.
Yeah.
So we're going to be on remote. We're going to be live out of this studio.
Yeah, so we'll be able to talk about, what people can see in garden centers during this time of year. We'll have things to be able to show people.
So we need to get there early and set up and make sure, crack open the equipment.
Definitely. Yeah, I'm going to be doing that this week.
Are we going to be set up in the same place that we were back a couple of Junes ago?
I think somewhere, in the same
near the
area.
Street there?
Yeah, no, I'll probably set us back a little bit away from the street more.
Okay.
Because I think it'll just be easier to set up there. But yeah.
Okay. So live on remote from Mission Hills Nursery.
Yeah.
Next weekend, next Saturday.
Yeah, and then we'll have to plan one. What would be a good time for your house, John? March? April?
For when the roses are in bloom?
Yeah.
I think probably looking in April.
April.
Maybe mid-April.
That'd be good to get out there at John's house when we're getting in full bloom status there with his roses.
Weather should be nice.
We'll do a remote out there. Yeah, weather.
Have a picnic.
Yeah, it'd be cool.
Yeah, you do it. John does a good job catering.
I'm gonna while we're at John's house, I'm gonna do a remote from his bathroom because I think that's probably one of the nicest rooms.
And the acoustics are just incredible.
The acoustics.
Great acoustics. So actually, we'll set us up each in a different part of the house.
Yeah.
We won't be sitting together necessarily.
No.
Hey, Tomato Mania is coming up. This month, early next.
Yeah, we're doing Tomato Mania at the nursery this year. And what weekend are we doing it? March 5th. March 5th and 6th at Mission Hills Nursery. Tomato Mania will be there. They're not doing one at the Cuyamaca garden this year. We're going to be doing it at the nursery. So a great way to get a hold of some of those really neat tomato varieties.
I just picked the final, for this season, peppers.
Ooh, really?
Very good.
Now, I'm trying to think of which
Now, what's going to happen between now and then?
Which pepper is it? What did it look like?
Again,
was it a hot pepper? Was it a bell pepper?
Bell pepper.
It was a bell pepper?
But it looked like it no.
Was it one that I gave you?
Yes.
Was it one of the
small
variegated
pot,
ones? Or
small
one
pot.
Of the little Mad Hatter one?
Maybe. See,
I like
again,
that. I like that Mad
It was
Hatter.
the fish pepper, the candy cane pepper.
Yeah, I was
Candy
trying
cane,
to try if I gave him one of those. Mine are looking very poor right now, and they didn't grow real big.
Well, the leaves right now the plant looks like it's hung over, but it's got it just
from
kind
the
of
winter.
It's kind of drooping,
Yeah.
hanging.
Just make sure you don't overwater.
No,
Yeah.
I'm not. It's interesting. I was talking to Tiger before the show this morning about how we've had a week of very hot weather, and I should take a look around and see what needs watering. A lot of the plants still, the pots are moist.
Yeah.
So only a few have probably dried out to some degree that would need any
and
water.
I was explaining to Brian that a lot of that has to. It's not so much that we have hot days. It's there's no daylight hours still. We still have very short sun in the day.
But the wind we've had, though,
that will
contributes.
dry out
Right.
things very quickly, especially where John is, where you have this open-faced hillside. You probably have plants dry out very quickly.
Yeah, the wind is everything is flat. It's just you just leave it.
Are
you
you
don't
getting
pick it up.
wind notifications on Alexa?
No.
Oh, I'm getting all these. There's a wind advisory tomorrow at 10 a.m. from
Really?
February 12th through 10 a.m. February 13th.
Oh, we don't have Alexa, so I don't know. Hey, Jan wants to know if your rose is going to be in the auction. I wonder if she's talking about
Green
the
Planet?
Green Planet. I'm hoping that it will be.
John, if it was, it'd be the first time in how many years?
18 years, right?
Yeah, since I bought. Well, since Eric did, because back in the day, my son, how old was he then? That was 2004, 2005. So he would have been, let's see.
I still remember he bought it for $80.
14. He was about 14 years old, and he
Yeah.
bought it for how much?
$80.
Yeah, $80, I think.
And I think it was because you got 100 to do the auction, and
Right.
you gave it to him.
And I gave it to him. I said, "Here, buy some." And
Whatever you want.
Yeah.
he bid aggressively. But I still have the rose.
I want to know who bid against him. Who's going to bid up against a 14-year-old
14-year-old,
kid?
yeah.
That,
Right, exactly.
I bet you there was a lot of people at auction be like, I don't want to be that guy. or
Janice
that
says, "Yeah,
person.
Green Planet."
It's either a yeah, it looks more like a yay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope they will. That, as I mentioned, it was a budded maiden, so it just depends on how quickly it grows. And with this kind of weather we've had, I think it'll make a nice rose for
gonna
the
do
auction.
well.
And
Yeah.
did you just get one, or how many did you get?
Got two,
You got two?
right? Because I want one,
Yeah.
and so we'll have that one, and then we'll have the one in the auction.
Awesome.
It's a nice rose. It's a nice green rose. And one thing about that, and we've talked about this over the years, you want to, cut off a stem and put it in a vase. It'll last you 6
Lasts.
months.
That's awesome.
I mean, I'm exaggerating,
Right.
but it'll last a good 2 or 3 weeks.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Chris Greenwood used to say that you can use the cut flowers. Once you cut it, you can will it to your children.
Yeah, it does very well.
And that's true for most roses that have green in them, because the green in the petals is from chlorophyll. And so the flower bud itself
Yeah.
also photosynthesizes.
Almost like a leaf itself.
Yeah, so it lasts longer.
Somebody had posted on YouTube an extreme close-up of photosynthesis taking place within the cells of a plant.
Oh, really?
The actual process.
Yeah.
And the cells moving around and how it was photosynthesizing, almost like looking at an X-ray. It was fascinating. I thought of you, John. Because most of us would say, hey, I'm going to go out and catch some rays, get a tan, John says, I'm going to go out and photosynthesize.
I'm going to go photosynthesize.
Hey, we've got,
Look-
you know what? We got just about a minute to go here.
Okay, well, Lenore Really Quick Tiger wants to know if you can add mycorrhizae to after a rose or a plant's already in the ground.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, because we have to take off. We have to go.
Okay.
Up against the clock.
Yes, Lenore.
Yes,
Thank you.
you
Hey,
can.
thank you for tuning in. We're up against the clock, so a big thanks to everybody. Myself, Brian Main, John Bagnasker, Tiger Palafox. Be with us next week. And a big thanks to the network, too, Biz Talk Radio. Next week, we do it again right here on Garden America. Take care.